And welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose, day one, open qualifier day today. Todd's back with me on the couch after the first game. Disappointing for Huck, your Protoss Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there are that many Protosses that will do very well against Gumiho, and sadly today Huck was not one of them. I would have liked to see better games out of him, but you know, like I said, it's very hard against a Terran as good as Gumiho.
Okay, let's check in with the bracket right now and show you what's going on. Bracket-wise, there are a few games going on right now. Zasta's 1-0 down to Super at the moment. And as you can see, Gumiho already through to the next round and will be playing puCK. The game between Intense and Caliber is currently at 1-1 right now. Am I right in thinking Caliber is a random rather than a Protoss? Or am I thinking something crazy here?
Yeah, he plays random, but
is he actually playing Protoss here?
Yeah, on tournaments he picks Protosses, right. But he's a very good random player.
Yeah, well known. Okay, so that's the bracket right now. We're going to move on to puCK versus Gumiho in just a moment. Don't forget, you can tweet at us and Facebook us and generally just, you know, send abuse to Todd, that's fine. Via all the usual channels. #IEM, of course, is the official hashtag on Twitter. It's at IEM on Twitter and /IEM on Facebook.com as well. So nice and easy for you to remember. Moving on to this next game, do we see any chink in the armour for Gumiho? Do we see anything that puCK may be able to exploit that Huck didn't do? Or am I clutching at straws?
Yeah,
Tell me if you're right. If I'm just clutching at straws here.
They have very different styles, I think. puCK, he can play a lot more passive, even though a lot of the time that's not true. You know, he can go into Storm and Colossus with a lot less aggression than a Huck would. So if he's able to do that and do well with like defending whatever aggression Gumiho is going to throw at him, he could do well, but I mean, that's just so hard against such an unpredictable player.
We've talked a lot about puCK at various points throughout this year, most of the time actually at Intel Extreme Masters when he's come along, and he always talks a good talk. He always tells me he's playing well and he's practicing hard and he's really got his builds down and feels really confident, and then he comes to the events and doesn't really deliver what you might hope he would deliver for him, you know, for his sake. Is this maybe an opportunity with the you know, the way that the bracket's panned out? And, okay, he might go down to Gumiho here, but he's got an opportunity to get through that lower bracket, hasn't he?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he would have to play super well, and like it's funny you said that because he made like the most like bland / passive statement I've ever heard here. Where we were asking him about like his shape, and he's like, "I'm average in all matchups right now." That's literally what he's saying. I'm average in all matchups. Like, whoa.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Maybe he's playing better than ever.
Well, his average might be 75% win rate.
I don't think it's that kind of average, Paul. It's your kind of average.
Wow.
Maybe.
25% win rate. Yeah, that would be average for me. Right, we are ready then for game number 2. But just before we go to the commentary team, we have to put you on the spot. I would imagine that you're going to go with our Korean Terran here.
You know what? Just because I like to be controversial, and I don't have any kind of powers like Artosis anyway, so okay. My prediction wouldn't mean anything. I'm going to say puCK is going to win 2-1.
Okay. The even more French than he could be before, Frenchman says he thinks it's going to be 2-1. Let's have it over to the commentators who will take us through and find out who wins game number 2.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Of course, I'm Apollo here, joined with Rotterdam. We're in Los Angeles here in Burbank, here for the Intel Extreme Masters Open Bracket. Excited to be on the casting desk and happy to be sitting next to my favorite Dutch person in the world. I was going to say someone else, but Dutch is fine.
You know, as long as I'm top 3 Dutch people in your favorite.
Oh, you're number 1.
Really?
Number 1 Dutch person.
And there's another Dutch person in the building. Another Kevin even.
You're my number 1.
And his last name is the King. I'm kind of jealous of his last name.
And you are the koi. You are the key. He's the king and you're the key. But happy to be sitting here with you, ready for this next game. We get to see puCK try to take on Gumiho, as unfortunately Huck failed to do so in the previous game. What do you think about this? You've been following puCK all year long. You think he can take on Gumiho? He had a great, you know, I guess we can call it an advantage looking at this. I mean, he watched the games versus Huck. He didn't have to play anyone else. Think he can do it?
I mean, this is a dream scenario for puCK. Of course, he had that walkover win in the first round of his upper bracket. So you can look at it like this. puCK has to win 1 best of 3 to advance. Now, he's going to go up against Gumiho, like you said. He had the advantage of watching his games. That's nice. Gumiho did look very intimidating, so you can say, was that really an advantage? I still think it's always a very big advantage.
Yeah.
puCK is also actually staying at my apartment, just a couple minutes away from here. Well, quite a few minutes.
45 minutes or so,
Yeah.
or maybe 50 of them.
It's America, everything's big over here. It's just a few minutes in our book now, Sean. So I've been talking with him a little bit about his current state of StarCraft 2. Like you said, I've been following him throughout the entire year. I've always been a fan of his PvZ, but he says in this day and age, I don't really have a favorite matchup. I don't really think my PvZ is a lot better than my PvT. He's like, overall, I'm going into this, I'm pretty confident. I think I can advance to the main event. And of course, so far, you know, everything is lining up perfectly for him, because one best of 3. It is a difficult map pool. He's going up against a world-class Terran player and GSL veteran, but I think, you know, if the stars align, if Letot is not Artosis, I think he can do it.
Well, puCK's in this situation because if you didn't know earlier on, Violet pulled out of the tournament this morning. He was due to play Violet in the first round, but has been given a gift into the second round of this open bracket. And then on top of that, there's another slot that's opened up in the open bracket itself. So the stars are aligning here for him to potentially get through. But Gumiho, as much as we haven't really seen him recently, as you said, is still a veteran in the StarCraft scene. He's been around since the very beginning of StarCraft 2 and is displaying some, as we used to know him as, Code S level type of play.
Yeah, he's an interesting fellow, isn't he? Because every now and then his peaks seem to be very high. If he brings out his A game, I really look at him as like, man, why are you not winning tournaments? Like if you're currently controlling your units like that, and Todd was complimenting him a lot about his macro in the last series, and very well deserved so, because he was on the money. But then suddenly it's a little quieter again around Gumiho for a couple of months, and then he pops up again with either a good run in the DreamHack or a strong performance in the Team League or whatsoever. He's interesting. It's about time that he has that one performance that whenever we say the name Gumiho, we say Intel Extreme Masters San Jose, for instance. Because right now, we all know Gumiho is good, but if you tell me what is that one tournament where he really excelled? Well, nothing truly stands out.
I completely agree with you. It's a great way to describe Gumiho's career. But here we are jumping into game number 1. It is going to be Deadwing, of course, in this best of 3 puCK. If we look at it from the American standpoint, just 2 games away. 2 maps away from qualifying for the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose. And up here, though, to the top left-hand side, as the red Terran player, it is Gumiho. It's been a while since we've seen him, playing for now Invasion Esports. Good to have him back in the scene. He hasn't really done anything in Heart of the Swarm, but hopefully this can be it.
I think it's always really cool when they're super grateful that they're finally able to travel, you know. Gumiho getting picked up by a team that we're not super familiar yet, but I'm trying to learn more about it. But he's just so happy to be here. He's on the couch, he's excited. And when they told him about the big stadium, you see that he's really getting into the groove as well. His opponent in perhaps a deciding series already for Gumiho, at least for the upper bracket, is going to be the one and only, still though, IVD puCK.
Who is 3 times Premier League player of 2014 in WCS, of course, a great achievement considering the difficulty of the WCS America that he held.
Yeah, WCS America has been very competitive. Of course, there's always been a lot of jokes about the American ladder or about the Americans in general, but WCS America was very legit throughout the entire year. A lot of top players. You saw that some of the foreign events, like different events as well, that the guys that were competing in WCS America, the Tejas, the Bombers, posting very, very good results. So the fact that puCK was able to hang in there 3 seasons in a row, that is an achievement on its own.
So for all the European viewers that are joining in now probably, talk to us a little bit about puCK. Do you think where would you put him as an American player here? Is he top 3, top 5, top 10, top 15? Where is he?
It depends a little bit on what shape he is, but in my opinion, he's the 2nd best Protoss in North America. I think that currently huCK is, I'm going to do that quite often with both these guys over here. huCK is still the best North American Protoss for me. He's just been consistent. He's been solid over the last 6 to 8 months. He's posting really good results, especially within the own region. But puCK is the 2nd best Protoss. And there are a few other good Protoss players. Don't get me wrong. I think IEM is extremely talented. Of course, we can't forget about the minigun, and we have a few more, but puCK is a top 6, top 7 American player, and definitely the 2nd best Protoss in my opinion.
Alright, well, we do have the opening build here shaping up. It's just going to be the regular Reaper expansion here from Gumiho. One difference compared to the game that he played earlier is that he is banking gas already, so pushing himself towards factory pay more than likely. Whereas puCK on the other side of the things, pretty standard here from his build.
I love it, and I love that our dedicated observer, of course, as always, whenever we're in this building, Flo Yao is showing us that he keeps that probe around. That is really nice, Sean, because I would love to know what kind of opening I'm playing against if I go over a very fast Nexus. As a Protoss, you're always a little blind, and like, you know, seeing a reactor and perhaps seeing that factory that you mentioned, well, he has the gas for it, so for sure that factory. That is such a nice little scout that you normally don't get as a Protoss, especially not on a map as large as Nimbus.
Well, is he going to get it, though?
Yeah, he's going to get it.
There we go. Good scout there for puCK. And he gets a bit of information here, and knowing that you're going to be dropped soon, more than likely, from a Widowmine or Hellion with a couple of Marines here. What is the best way to deal with it? Is it going for like a fast robo, getting ready defensively? Is it to be aggressive to set up a counterattack?
This is interesting because often what I did in the past, and that's so wrong, is like, oh man, I know he's going to drop me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get like a couple Stalkers, then I'm going to get 2 extra gateways. But then the attack hits right before you can actually use those additional gates.
Right.
And I was like, why do the Korean Protosses always have more units from less gateways? And that's because they're just constantly producing of 1 gate. He is dropping the very fast robo, definitely not a bad play.
Yeah, pretty fast second gate too.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have minded a forge, get a cannon in both bases, and just make Stalkers from 1 gate. I think that's solid, but of course, having the robotics facility, you can use a defensive observer, and then you can send an observer across the map. Both works, but I think it's very important that you either keep your production up of 1 gate or spend Chrono Boost on the Cybercore, because you know now, hey, I'm going to need a few Stalkers to deal with whatever he's throwing at me, whether it's Widowmines, Hellions, or Marine with a medevac.
Well, puCK's here, got a probe on the other side of the map now, and I guess the advantage of having the gateways over a cannon, for example, is you can actually build units and start to build a small little army up here. So, depending on how well he deals with this, he could set himself up for a counterattack here, Roddy.
Yeah, I like this. This is promising. This is one of these things that if you don't take any damage from this Terran opening, and you already have the pylon up on the other side of the map, how often have we seen this in Korean PvTs either? That it's just like, they defend and then they wipe in a bunch of units on the other side of the map, and they keep the Terran out of the natural, or they drop a few force fields and you win.
And this is an interesting scout here. The Reaper goes in but doesn't see the extra unit, the extra gateway, should I say.
Nope, this is a very good scenario for puCK, because this just looks like a defensive Protoss. Like, you know, nothing to worry about here. I'm just getting ready to receive your drop. I don't want to take any attention. Not a single bunker in the natural either. With a Photon Overcharge and units in position.
And the probe kind of may give this away there because it showed itself. Of course, probe just can easily throw a pylon down. But let's see, because Gumiho's on the aggression. And this is the part where Gumiho kind of needs to deal damage. If this just gets countered, he's in a lot of trouble. He's thrown down a 3rd command center behind this. He does see a pylon. So that's pretty big information. But look how late his stim is. It's only just now started. And the drop is on its way to the main base. How well is puCK going to deflect
Photon Overcharge is enough for this. Of course, you want to pull your units away. Photon Overcharge will go down immediately. I would use it on the medevac. Every shot you can get on the medevac is always worth it. Yeah, I'm still sad. Of course, you know, he saw the pylon because he dropped the command center.
He's building 2 Widowmines. I mean, he's obviously a little bit worried at this point. See the pylon that close, knowing that your opponent's got a lot of stuff.
And he's getting a bunker as well. Gumiho is kind of like, hey, maybe something is up over here. This Protoss is a little cheeky, as you would say, Apollo.
That's exactly the word I'd use to describe this, rather than cheeky. As the Stalkers are here, the cancellation on the command center is obviously evident there, but here comes the Stalkers. The Widowmine, can he actually pick it off? Oh, nice little pick off there from puCK. One of them down, the other one's trying to borrow. There is an observer, of course, so he can bring down the second one.
Oh, that's nice. A little bit of a parting move over there. Of course, he couldn't blink it away, so he couldn't save it.
Oh, the Marines have come back from the medevac. And he's looking to deal with this, and oh my gosh. This went from looking kind of okay to potentially being good to looking rather bad as the Stalkers are pushed back.
He lost a few Stalkers, but it still wasn't the end of the world. He picked off a handful of SCVs. 6 workers have died throughout the entire game, and he got a cancel on the 3rd command center. So it's not all bad news for puCK, but he has to be very careful that he doesn't overcommit. I think now, just back off. There is a Marauder in the bunker, and you're not going to break that, especially not without Blink and a Pylon Claw. So just go home, make sure you don't deal any economic damage or take any economic damage. Go up to 3 bases, get the Twilight and the Forge. I think this is a playable position for puCK.
Perfect counter from Gumiho, though, knows that this attack is over and already picks up the Hellions and is going to go for this drop. puCK, no idea, and even if the Photon Overcharge is there, he's going to lose probe, so excellent counterplay from Gumiho, and he will get probes.
Yep. Oh, I love that pylon. Very, very smart, quick maneuver over there by puCK. Medevac has taken a lot of damage from Photon Overcharge. The Stalker is getting close to picking it off.
How many probes did he get there? Must have been about 5? It's like 4 or 5 there.
He had 2, so yeah, he got 5 extra. So he got 5 workers, but if he didn't drop that pylon there, really well done by puCK. I actually haven't seen that very often. I thought it was a very cool little move.
All right, well, the secondary drop's going to come in. Stim is now completed. Hellion's still a threat. puCK does have eyes on it. And we're about to see really Gumiho start to build himself up in this game. But puCK's not too far away. He does have his first Colossus on the way, which is going to help defend against these type of attacks. He's just not going to take damage anymore from these next couple of drops.
No, he shouldn't. He has an observer in the airspace as well. I actually think, like, in general, we say you shouldn't move observers too much in the middle of the map, but I think on airspace, you should always put them on patrol. Oh, that's a nice little pickup. The two Hellions. Yeah, the 2 or 3 Hellions were there inside. Doesn't have to worry about those bad boys anymore. Now he just has to worry about one drop. Yeah. This is still not an easy phase in the game for Protoss, but he has a cannon. Colossus spawns.
Pops out right at the perfect time.
Oh, that would have mine though.
It should be okay.
In the extractor. I think that always happens in the simulator.
Mothership core is going to picked up though, so that's gone down. He's going to have to rebuild that, and that does make him a little bit vulnerable in the next part of the game. Obviously, not having that photon overcharge, but the Stalkers try and bring down that medevac. It is going to escape, but not a lot of damage dealt.
No, unfortunately for puCK, Blink was only halfway done. Getting a Mothership core is nice, but like you said, that was pretty much it. He didn't lose any worker at all. I think he used Photon Overcharge anyway, so you lost a little bit of
What's the
energy.
army size currently, Kev, as we're starting to go into that type of game?
It's 59 versus 44, but I think that's fine for Protoss. If you sit defensive, of course he lost the MS core, so that makes defending a little bit more tricky. But Blink is going to be ready soon. He has a Colossus. Okay, he needs to see this army coming in though. The Colossus has to step back.
He's only got a couple of force fields here. Not a lot of protection. Of course, no Photon Overcharge either. Very important moment here for the American as Gumiho pushes forward. If this location gets breached, then the stim is there. 3 force fields. That is all he's got right now until he warps in more units.
I don't like those extra stalkers. He needs some meat actually to absorb some shots. He needs a few extra zealots.
Oh,
he does have Blink.
Cannot go down at this point here, Rotterdam. And it's going to be targeted, and it will go down. Great pick off there from Gumiho. And he's going to target down the rest of these units as well. A great move here from Gumiho, and he's really putting the pressure on, and if not, potentially game-ending pressure.
Yeah, this is very difficult now. There's not a whole lot of DPS anymore in this Protoss army. The Mothership core doesn't have Photon Overcharge, so maybe that Mothership core loss was a little bit more painful than we thought it was in the long haul. Zealots are going to take a lot of damage from these Widow Mines. Good pickup as well, dropping on top of the Colossus, and that is going to be it for game number 1. Gumiho wins on that wing.
Gumiho wins 3 games in a row now, 2-0 versus Huck, and is leading 1-0 versus puCK, and is just a single game away from qualifying for the main event of the Intelligence Masters San Jose. But at the very least, we can look at this from the other side. It was a relatively close game for the majority there.
Yep, it was right before where puCK would stabilize on 3 bases, but then of course we almost skipped a very crucial part of this game. I don't think he had to drop that second pylon. That other pylon was already relatively close, but we take another look at the final moments. I didn't like this Stalker warp in, by the way. I thought
2
it was
Stalkers and a Zealot, and actually the pylon goes down there as well, which hurts a little bit too. But yeah, Zealots right at the front here. They're at the back. They're a little bit late to the party. Could have been a different story.
Yeah, because Zealots normally prevent bio units from right-clicking on the big units like Colossus, because if they run into Zealots, actually kill stuff. It doesn't happen very often, but if you run straight into them, they're pretty good.
Really unfortunate, and this is just the death here of puCK as Gumiho picks up the last few of his units in a second to drop him on the Colossus and secures himself the first victory here in this series. But now the Tal Terran, 1 game away. Next map's going to be King Sejong Station. Talk us through Terran versus Protoss here, Rotterdam.
It's a relatively tricky map for Protoss, but it's very doable because in general it's a little bit easier to get scouts off. You kind of know what you're up against. You know, it's not a 4-player map, and you know, I think defending against drops here, I wouldn't say it's easy, but there's also not a crazy amount of surface area in your main base. So in general, once you stabilize, then life is not too difficult. I still really like where puCK was going with his approach of game number 1. He got a scout off, he saw the opening, and he realized if I defend and then put on 3 gateway pressure, I can do something with this. And you saw that Gumiho was worried about this as well. He got the bunker up and even canceled the command set. He didn't even bother, you know, like if he was very stubborn, he could have pulled SCVs like, oh no, I really want to get this command set to finish. He didn't do that. I'm a little sad that he revealed that second pylon, or that he felt he had to get that second pylon so close that quickly.
Right,
because if he drops it later, I really think that he could have done game-ending damage with that, you know, that counterattack of the 3 gates. But you know, it is what it is, Sean.
It is what it is, Roddy. But it's a new map. It's a new chance here for the Americans to try to bring him down. He's up here to the top left-hand side, playing for LVD Gaming. It's puCK, and we'll see if you can tie this one up, as it definitely wasn't a bad effort in game number 1, and you can see the differences from our first series to the second series of the day as well. So good display here from puCK. But down here to the bottom right-hand side is the red Terran, known in the StarCraft 2 scene as the Tal Terran. It's of course Gumiho, making his debut here as a recent addition for Invasion Esports. And get this, Rotterdam, they're invading the Intel Extreme Masters because they have 3 players here looking to do very well in terms of top. Gumiho himself and Super.
Yeah, Super is a very interesting case as well. I have no idea what to expect from Super. Like, it's been forever since I saw the name. It's like one of these names is like Super. I've heard that name
somewhere. It could have been on the ladder, but
No. The MMR is not there yet, Sean. It's not there.
Roddy, I've seen your stream.
Yeah, well, according to Reddit, I'm still mid-master, Sean. So
Mid-masters,
mid
sometimes low masters, I read somewhere, Roddy.
Mid-low, you know, you never know what it is. On a good day, it's mid.
On a good day, mid.
It's like, no. I think it's... Anyways, interesting little side story of puCK. puCK is, of course, part of IVD Gaming, but they weren't sure if they were going to send puCK to this event. So I actually want to give some love to my boy Nate, who does a lot of good things, of course, for the StarCraft community. He's not only a great caster, and he does some streaming as well. Sometimes he gets a little mad on Protoss, but other than that, you know, he's a great guy. And he actually helped puCK getting to this event. So I think that's very sweet of Nate. He likes to say it was the Kappa Star League, but I think that sounds a little silly, so I like to say it's just Nate.
this caster money that he's been getting recently.
He has been getting a lot of that, and he doesn't really spend a whole lot.
He doesn't. I mean, not like me and you, Roddy. We've got our own problems. But Nate, on the other hand, he can send players to tournaments.
Which is, you know, it's a very cool thing. So of course, a lot of love to Nathanius for helping puCK to make this journey. It would be fantastic for puCK and Nate, of course, if puCK would qualify for the main event. It's very doable. He had that walkover win in the upper bracket round 1, so this is still upper bracket round 2 already. This is an opening that I wouldn't say has fallen out of fashion, but you don't see super often. You know. We'll see where Gumiho takes this. If puCK doesn't take any damage from this opening of Gumiho, which I don't think he has scouted at all, so it's something that you kind of want to know that you're playing against.
But definitely could take damage from this.
But if you don't take damage, then you're in such a sweet position as a Protoss player.
But yeah, just on the open bracket one last time here, 2 Koreans in this open bracket, 3 slots available. You know, puCK's definitely got to be challenging for this one.
Yep, I think it could very well come down to a good old puCK versus huck. Don't we all love those?
Very well could do. Very well could do. Hopefully, I don't cast it because I've got a little bit of a cold, and I think I'm going to struggle with the puCK and huck.
The huck pucks.
And the huck pucks. But yeah, factory opening here from Gumiho again. This time a very different setup from the previous one, as Roddy said, is that puCK just doesn't know what's going on. There's Marines blocking a scout here. No, is it a scout? No, oh, sorry, it's SRV. Sorry, excuse me. No scouting at all from puCK.
Yeah, that's a little dangerous. And of course, the biggest difference between this and that wing is also that Gumiho did drop. You know, he went Reaper into Command Center and then into a factory, which is still a little bit of a ballsy build, you can say, because in general, you just don't have a whole lot of units to defend against something crazy. For instance, a Blink Stalker, 1 base lane. You don't see them very often, but if that would have happened, you know, Gumiho has like 3 units to defend against a bunch of Blink Stalkers. So it's not the most solid build in the world. This is just a very aggressive opening. Yeah. If Protoss knows about this, then you just sit home, you pump out those Stalkers, you get your Mothership Core. Can he? No, he doesn't see that there is no... the fact that there is no bunker can sometimes be a little telling, because in general you want to have a bunker as a Terran player.
Well, I mean, there's 2 sides to look at this here. I mean, Gumiho opened up Command Center first on this map versus huck earlier. One way you can look at this that could be feeding this information to puCK, and the second one is that he didn't have a bunker in the previous game until he started to feel threatened too, but...
Stalker didn't see it. There is still a Stalker standing outside of the natural of Gumiho, but he did not see... he does see the Hellion, so that is a tell, of course. But the Stalker is still out of position. He needs that DPS at home. As silly as it sounds, 1 Stalker DPS, you may think. In this phase in the game, that is massive. puCK is going to have issues dealing with this. Photon Overcharge helps to defend the natural, but now he has to worry about the main too. Yeah,
but so far not really taking any damage, apart from a little bit of lack of mining time. 2 Hellions here waiting to pounce. Or should I say, not really pounce, but shifted a couple of gears to that natural. Stalker comes back, but the drop's headed towards the main base here. puCK building Immortals. We'll talk about that in a second here as the drop enters here.
He has nothing in the main.
Uh-oh, with a mine. We all know how that goes if you don't. Okay, it's only 2 kills. Could have been a lot worse, obviously.
Losing a few probes as well against these Marines. A few more now, actually. Gumiho is controlling this very well. And that's what I said. That 1 Stalker that's out of position, that really hurts. He is taking terrible, terrible economic damage over here, Sean.
Terrible damage, Rotterdam. As he's lost multiple probes here, and even a lot of damage to these Stalkers, we can see. He's got an Immortal coming out to help, and he will push his back eventually. But at what cost?
At the cost of a whole lot of probes. Of course, it is a 2-base Protoss against a 1-base Terran, you may say. So right now we look at the work. He's already down 3 workers. You never really want to be down in workers. The second orbital is not ready yet. I guess that's the only bright side to this story.
Rotterdam's usually ahead in workers at this point because the carrier's killed enough.
That happened 1 time, Sean, but thank you. We can just roll with it.
The Medivac coming in here. It's going to get picked off, so 3 Marines do go down there. Nice pick up there from puCK. To be honest, I think that was very optimistic there from our Korean Terran to get extra damage done from that. I think he probably should have wanted to come back here. Medivac's 100 gas, Rotterdam.
Yeah, I know.
That's like 100 esports money. That's a lot.
It was a little silly to throw it away like that, but Gumiho is a very experienced Terran player. He knows that that went so well for him that now all he has to do is just get those upgrades going.
Well,
it's funny he gets that one siege tank again, by the way, Sean. He did this against Huck as well. Like, I walked away a little bit because I was looking at another game, and then I came back and I was like, well, there is a siege tank on King Sejong Station. Where did the tank come from? And now he adds one of these tanks again.
It's going to be very helpful here, especially because we see that puCK's pushing towards the back here. Gumiho will start to notice as soon as he hears it in his headset, obviously, and starts to see that this has been damaged. He's also decided to drop at the same time, whether that's a good idea or not. Of course, it's better to defend, but also on the flip side, there's no units for puCK to defend himself here. So this could work out well if Gumiho balances his units back at home.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what puCK should do now. He doesn't have a pylon super close. It's relatively close. Photon Overcharge goes down. That is like the only damage that puCK has over here. He's going to warp in 2 Zealots. 2 Zealots, Sean, is not going to be enough to deal with this drop.
There's a Widowmine in that too, but here comes a push at the same time from puCK, and he sees the tank firing from the high ground. He knows he's got limited amount of damage from that area. He's got to move outside of the siege tank range. He does bring down that bunker of force and cancel, traps a lot of these SCVs, forces the pickup. But remember, there are 3 command centers behind this, so it's something to consider at this point as this slowly but surely is going to be cleaned up.
And he hasn't taken too much damage at home, actually. That Immortal should be clicked on the tank. He might be able to get it. He's pretty close. No,
he's not going to get it there. And the SCV's come
he's going to get it. And he's going to get the second one as well.
Banshee pops out. puCK's like, good God, what do you have back there? Banshee comes in for the fight and will bring that down. At the same time, Gumiho is being aggressive, and now we actually get to see.
Oh, no.
Was that drop good from Gumiho? But 12 probes, I think, is a good sign to say it was. That's a lot of probe kills.
Yeah, but I looked away from that fight in the main because I thought it was over. There were 3 Zealots on top of Marines, but I guess Gumiho, during all that, picked up those Marines, repositioned them, and puCK wasn't paying attention. And then he got 12 workers more than he should have got.
Unbelievable intense right now. There's hardly any units for both sides here. The Observer gets picked off, so Gumiho can take high ground vision again. And if he builds a bunker, he's got a Banshee and a tank being built. So weird to see these units be built at this stage of the game here. Very uncharacteristic and common for this matchup. Stalkers come up for another fight here. The Banshee and tank are going to be enough, I think, with the tank.
Yeah, with the tank it's going to be enough. The fact that he killed that Observer is super important. Otherwise, these Stalkers would just have a field day running back and forth and getting some free shots off on these Marines.
Yeah. So let's. I mean, this is going to slow down a little bit now. With the tank coming out, this shouldn't do anything from this point. But puCK has a supply leads. He's got 9 workers more than his opponent, but there are 3 orbital commands. How far is the upgrade such as Stim, Combat Shell? Have they even been researched in this game?
No, he has nothing. He doesn't even have a tech lab. He's just been producing units from his current setup.
That's a huge problem.
Yes, but of course there is a small problem for puCK as well, and that is the problem that he doesn't really have any follow-up tech either. He doesn't have a Robo Bay, he doesn't have a Twilight Console, so his units are just slow gateway units now. I'm still so sad. If he would have moved those Zealots or would have warped in 1 Stalker, because that Medevac only had 1 shot left anyway, he would have had 12 workers more than he currently has. Then he can just drop another Nexus, and he's going to have the time of his life, because like you said, what is this, like some pseudo 1v111? Is he just going to make tanks and Banshees and Marines?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is he going to push out soon in a moment and be like... I mean, it's a very weird game, this one. We very well could see that he's still producing tanks and Banshees here. puCK's got a decent squad of units himself here in the middle of the map to kind of feel out the game and just kind of know exactly where he is here. Is he going to have a drop? He's actually going to push forward here. Does he have enough to break this?
No, I wouldn't do that, especially not with the Raven there as well. The PDD is going to soak... Oh, actually, there's not enough energy. Well, if these Zealots stand on top of the tanks, but...
An auto turret's going to come in. The SCVs come to help, and the units will get surrounded, but 3 tanks dealing a lot of damage. But SCVs did go down in this, so... Yes, we lost a lot of Zealots and Stalkers. How many SCVs went down, do you think, there? I don't think we actually saw exactly.
No, not too many, actually. I think 4 or 5. All the Marines did get taken out, though, so that's nice. puCK gets a little bit of breathing room. He goes for charge before Blink, which I think is a little interesting. This is not a bad Blink map at all, and I would have loved to see him at least keep Gumiho on his side of the map while going up to 3 bases.
Yeah, I think the 3rd base is ideal at this point here for puCK after doing so much damage to the Marine count. He knows a push-out's going to be hard to do. Zealot Charge is going to be a great comfort upgrade here for him to deal with any pushes that come across. Stim starting now at the 14-minute mark here, or 14:30 should we say. Very late in this game because of the way it's played out.
This is such a bizarre game. These are not PvTs like you see them very often. The Banshees are going to find a little bit of wiggle room over here to do some economic damage. It's just really random to see Banshees in this phase in the game actually being successful in killing
Yeah.
workers. This has been like the comeback week of the Banshee. Like we saw 4GG at DreamHack just doing crazy things with Banshees. David Kim is so
Warm
excited
up for
right-
Legacy of the
Yeah,
Void,
I
Roddy.
know,
Like,
those fast Banshees.
Everyone saw what the damage can be
Ooh.
done.
If Gumiho is actually committing, then I really like, of course, the fact that puCK got charged, because charge is a lot better in a straight-up fight. With Archons, he doesn't know that his army is moving across the map. What is going on,
Neither
Sean?
of them know.
What is this game?
They're going to both attack each other here, and this is going to be a bit of an awkward one. I'm not too sure who's going to win this overall, as both armies pretty decent. In a heads-up fight, puCK could probably do it, but in a base trade, this becomes incredibly weird. There's 2 Banshees, there's going to be a point defense drone in case there were Stalkers here, and now Gumiho's like, what? Your army's here?
I would never want to base trade a Terran with 3 orbitals, though. It just seems like there's no good ending to that story. But maybe that's just in my games. We'll see. Photon Overcharge has been casted, but won't get a whole lot of kills. He's actually working on the Raven. Feedbacks the Raven. That's nice. That is a unit that is pretty important throughout the entire game. Oh, those Zealots are in a very awkward choke point, so the Marines are getting a lot of free shots off. But every unit is important in a base trade.
I think that puCK may be able to do this, though, if he can somehow muster enough units on the other side. I'm not too sure, as both players going head-to-head, and
he's gonna lose all his buildings. Oh, he has a War Prison. He's gonna build. He's gonna pick up 8 probes, right? And he has enough money for. At the north side of this fight, we see the War Prison picking up all the probes right now, and that is a very good crisis play. That is one of the things that you always think about when it's too late.
I mean, this could be a draw. I mean, if a command center escapes and he destroys everything,
we have an observer
that puCK
though.
has.
Okay, with 3 observers actually. Please use your observers. These Widow Mines should really not get any kills. It's just
40 supply each. 5 tanks just dealing ever damage. I mean, this entire Protoss base has been compromised. It's going to die, but likewise is Terran.
Oh wow. Did he just lose an Archon?
It's 40 army supply here for 31. These 2 Widow Mines, if they detonate on this army, that's the best case scenario here, but we are going to try and see a starport with a reactor, which is interesting. Maybe he's going to try and build some medivacs, I guess, to help his Marines that are very few. I'm not too sure, but either way, what a wild one.
Yeah, the
this.
tech lab makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
The reactor is like
Let me heal you 6 Marines.
Oh, does he? Is puCK still? Yeah, he must see.
Oh, but these 3 Banshees, I mean, there's 3 of them.
Yeah,
there's very few Stalkers, there's very few anti-air. If Cloak was ever researched.
No, but it's not just the fact of Cloak, it's also just the fact that there is barely enough anti-air in this army of puCK. He does kill the engineering bay before the +1 armor finishes up. That's kind of nice. That was a super close call, actually. It's just, I feel that puCK was a little sloppy. Like, he was really focused on evacuating the probes and having a backup plan. That he lost a few more units at home than he should have lost. Like, where did all these Zealots go? There were like 4 Marines at home. These Marines, these Zealots should not have died. They died against Widow Mines and silly things like that. It's a little bit unfortunate, because puCK's army, if he has another like 16 supply in that army, oh, he has 2 more Stalkers there, that's nice.
Well, at the same time though, look at the amount of money that Gumiho has in the bank. He's got quite a few to add on 2, 3 more Banshees here, and that's going to join up to a total of 6. It's never going to be enough here to challenge this.
We don't have Storm right now.
Maybe these High Templar imagine some feedback.
Yeah, if he's actually, these Banshees are 1-click kills. That would be fantastic. The War Prism has to go a little bit to the left, to the left, to the left. Everything he wants in a box to the left.
To the left, to the left. Come on,
no,
Roddy.
not to the right. And then he goes to the right. Like, all these Banshees are maxed out on energy. That's why you don't see their purple health bars right now. That means they have 200 energy, 1 feedback, instant kill.
Imagine if he got rid of Cloak too, so they continue to bank up energy as well.
Come on, he has to do that soon.
They will cloak up soon. That's the problem. And then they're going to start draining their energy.
Okay, he sees one of... No, he's going to reveal. This is literally the only Banshee on the map that's not maxed out. Where are the other 3?
Go for it, my son. But the problem is they're all in the siege tanks, and I think
they were exposed before.
That Gumiho is pretty much put 2 and 2 together, realizing that in that Warp Prism.
Nah, you think so?
Well, look at the way he's postured. He's waiting for Cloak to finish here. I mean,
that's a good kill. But there are 2 more observers on the map.
Cloak's up now.
No, there are 2 more observers though. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
1 observer with the army.
They can still pop. Of course, the feedback does the same amount of damage that the Banshees have at hit points. And currently,
this is such an interesting little dance. I think now he... Oh, go for it!
The funny thing, I think this is really anticlimactic too, because even if he gets the Banshees, I think it might be over anyway. But he's going to try to go for this.
No, double feedback.
Pop, 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 pop! Where's the observer?
Oh,
he needs to see the things first, Rotterdam.
No.
The observer, where is it? Is he?
I love how we're like really commentating this like feedback fight. Meanwhile, there are like 3 orbitals dropping mules like no tomorrow.
To be honest,
matter, guys.
I think the game might be over, but we have to see these Banshees die.
Yeah.
They're slowly draining though, and I think they're not going to be one hit anymore by these High Templar.
Yeah, he's probably aware of that as well. He's like, man.
But Gumiho kind of just sitting there in great position. orbitals all around the map. This one base down here for puCK is going to start to be sieged upon very shortly here. Pop, 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 pop. He's not going to kill him anymore. It's not even worth it.
Well, no, you're right. Well, there's no blink either.
No, this is a problem here for puCK. And Gumiho, I mean, if you start to look on the bright side of things here for Gumiho is, yes, he's kept his Banshees alive, and yes, he's seconds away from qualifying for the Touchstream Master San Jose.
Yeah, and that was convincing as well, definitely in dominating fashion. Did not drop a map in the upper bracket. Managed to defeat both excellent American Protosses pretty convincingly. One Stalker is going to die. That's a cute little dance. There was a Stalker harassing one of these orbitals, but the biggest problem for puCK now is that he can't be aggressive. If he's aggressive, he loses all buildings, and if he sends out 1 or 2 units, well, they get picked off by those by that fleet of Banshees.
It's like his king is about to be checkmated in this game, trying to deal with these Banshees, but as we can see, this is a very difficult situation here for puCK. As Gumiho starts to launch his last attack of this series, 2-0 versus Huck, and looking like a 2-0 versus puCK as well. And he still has to play for seeding, but that doesn't matter. It's all about the qualification for the main tournament this weekend in San Jose.
There's one Immortal. How good are the Immortals? If we have to believe Avilo, this Immortal will kill all 5 tanks. Good. No, he's not going to.
Unfortunately, it's not going to work here. puCK loses his last remaining forces, and Gumiho takes another 2-0 victory here in Burbank. And the ESL Studios ready for the Touchstream Masters main tournament this weekend. And Gumiho is our first player to qualify in very convincing fashion and at record time.
Yeah, he did that very well. Pretty fun game number 2. I wonder what would have happened when those 2 armies just completely missed each other in the middle of the map. Like, that army from Gumiho, if he's ready to fight and he has everything sieged up and the tanks well positioned, it's a very strong army. If that army gets sandwiched by charge slots and an Archon, which puCK had, and maybe even a second Archon and then a few more Zealots, I actually think that puCK could have killed that army. Even being down in army supply, if a Protoss like ambushes that Terran army while it's in transit, that Terran army was not very powerful at all.
Well, looking at this bracket now, Super is very close to doing the same thing as Gumiho here, moving forward. And that kind of leaves the rest of the non-Koreans in this bracket to fight for one possible last chance slot here. And as you said, we could be seeing that puCK versus Huck game later on if both players continued to move through this bracket.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be excited to see that. I love to see puCK versus Huck because, in my opinion, that's like the battle of the most competitive North American Protoss. Of course, Minigun is an excellent Protoss as well, but Mini hasn't really been attending too many tournaments, so puCK versus Huck is kind of a classic for me when it comes to the North American scene.
Absolutely, and hopefully get to commentate that and spin our words and hopefully not mess up too many times. But Red Eye is ready with Gumiho, our first player to qualify for the Touchstream Masters San Jose.
Thank you, Sean. Yes, with Gumiho, who now has a brand new record. It's the first time we've ever interviewed a player twice in a row at the Intel Extreme Masters. I'm joking. Congratulations. Let's not talk about the game too much, although it seemed like a harder game for you, so I want you to talk to me about that. But talk to me about the fact that you've now played probably the 2 best North American Protoss, and tell me how good they are.
방금 헉 선수와 퍽 선수를 만났는데 북미에서 그래도 제일 잘하는 토스 선수들이랑 만나서 이렇게 이겼는데 그 북미에서 그래도 나름 잘하는 토스 선수들에서 어떻게 생각하세요?
방금은 좀 되게 아슬아슬했던 것 같은데 저는 판은 그래도 지금 그래도 테란 대 토스 테란이 상당히 많이 압도하고 있더라고요. 그래서 그런지 토스전은 상당히 편한 것 같아요.
Ooh, Protoss users are going to love this answer. Well, he says, first of all, that last game was actually a little bit dicier than I may have liked. But other than that, I will say that, and I think a lot of Terrans will agree with me, that they're doing well in TvP lately. So personally as well, I'm very, very comfortable with the TvP matchup.
Okay, yeah, I can't really tell much Korean, but I kind of got that Terran was OP somewhere in the middle of that. But
so before we just went live, I asked him. There was a recent nerf that has been announced to the Widowmine, and he told me his thoughts. But I'll let you guys hear his thoughts. 방금 얘기했던 그 테란 너프 대해서 어떻게 생각하는지 다시 인터뷰에서 얘기해 주세요.
마인 너 근데 토스가 너프된 게 많아가지고 마인 조금 너프해도 할만할 것 같아요. 지금이랑 큰 차이 없을 것 같아요.
He says, honestly, I don't think that it'll be too different from this. If it's just the mine that they're nerfing, I don't think it'll actually have a big effect on the TvP matchup because there's other things being nerfed at the same time, is what he's saying. Is Toss being nerfed as well? I didn't actually read the report.
No, I haven't seen it either. Todd was talking to me this morning just before we went on air about it. But yeah, we need to catch up on that. But you've moved on now to the San Jose Stadium. We mentioned to you earlier on. You said you're just as nervous whether it's here or at the stadium. But have you had a chance to look at the groups and the players in those groups? Is there any groups that maybe you would want to avoid, or maybe some players that you would like to play?
혹시 그 산호세 그 조에 보셨나요? 그 선수들이 누구 있는지 그리고 특별하게 들어가는
정확하게 기억은 안 나서 준호 있는 조는 좀 피하고 싶어요.
So he says, I did take a look, but not too definitively. However, I will say I want to avoid the group that Hero's in, whatever group that is.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice because Hero is playing very well. Thank you very much, Gumiho. I don't know if you've got anything else you wanted to ask him, Sue, or...
I'm just surprised he said Hero just because he just said Protoss is a comfortable matchup. But then again, I guess it is Hero.
Hero's like a fourth race. All of his own.
Race. I'm sure he'll be happy you said that right.
We're all CJ Hero fans here. Thank you, Gumiho. Thank you, Sue. We are going to move on. When we come back, we'll update you on the latest matches and exactly the scores going on, and we'll bring you another match that's coming up after the break.